Ni hao! What else, Stephanie? Okay, so this is gonna break my heart, but I feel like it's confession week, right? Okay, here we go. I don't think it's terribly useful to use mobile apps or any mobile apps to learn Mandarin Chinese. At least at the beginning levels. And by beginning, I'm going to say HSK 1, 2, and 3, or whatever equivalent that is in non-HSK materials. Oh, this is awesome. I mentioned in previous videos that they're painting our building. They are actually coming to the window as I'm filming this. Do you see that? That's them. Right now, they've just covered up our air conditioner component outside, and they've got more paint on that than, oh my god, he's swaying left to right. This is so funny. I couldn't have planned this any better. This is hilarious. I hope he comes down while I'm making this video. Anyway, okay, the point is, I don't know why I'm smiling, because when we moved back to China, January of 2017, one of my main goals was to build language learning apps for people learning English, specifically writing apps to help them. And that still might be helpful. I still have some ideas on that. But as time goes on, I've been pulled into other areas, namely podcasting and possibly language learning coaching if I can ever get fluent, because I won't offer to do language learning coaching until I have acquired a second freaking language, because I think it's rude to even though I taught for a number of years, that's different. You can know a lot about a language that you already master, but I think as far as, I'm getting on a tangent, sorry, that's the thing for the future. The point is, why am I saying this? They're still coming down, this is great. The point is, I now have to transfer the last thing that I put up online that I thought would help me with my Chinese grammar studies into paper form. I think I showed you videos and videos ago, somewhere up here I think, when I took screenshots of the grammar sections of the HSK books and I uploaded them into Google Drive, and it took forever to do that, but I did it, and I haven't organized it to the degree I'd like, and I'm really glad that I haven't, because I haven't touched it. How many months ago was that? Probably 2 months ago? And so I finally had the flash the other day while I was, because I make grammar notes on the transcripts of the chapters that I'm listening to the listening of, which the transcripts are from. That makes no sense. I make grammar notes on the listening transcripts as well, and that has slowly seeped into my brain, at least the awareness of the grammar points, not necessarily the understanding of the grammar points. And those two things seem to be a common theme in every part of language learning for me so far. Anyway, point being, I haven't actually done anything with the ones online. So I bought another notebook. I love stationery, so it was kind of fun to spend the week finding just the right... Look! If we go in the bedroom, I think they'll be right in front of us. So we're gonna move a little bit here. I don't know why I'm so excited about this. Oh my god, they're right in front of where I normally record. They're right there. Do you see them? He's painting our building as we speak. This is history in the making. I don't know why it's history, because buildings get built all the time. It's not history at all. It's so not history. It's just kind of funny, because you rarely experience this while you're in your apartment. Like, I've never seen this happen while I was in previous apartments. I'm sure it did. I just wasn't home because I used to work too much. Maybe this is the advantage of working part-time. Yeah. All right, point being, what the hell was I talking about? Yeah, so I'm going to put the grammar points, not even from the digital files, because those are just pictures of the real life chapters. So I wonder how long it's going to take him to realize that there's somebody recording in here. I don't know. Maybe I should go in the kitchen. But I finally got the right height on this damn thing. Anyway, I'm going to keep going and see what happens. Because he's literally right there right now. I have to move. Shit. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight from, okay, we're not going into the kitchen because it's too dark right now. We're going to go right here. This pretty background. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stuff from the HSK chapters and I'm going to put it directly into my new paper notebook. And I think that'll make it easier for me to flip through, write questions on both sides of the paper, and think through it in a manual form, which seems to be working better than any other form. The glare in here is insane. Oh, that's intimate. Okay. This is clearly why I don't film in here very much. That, and it's a freaking bathroom. What's my point? My point is every single app except Pleco has fallen by the wayside. And I spent months and months using lots of apps. Now, the writing script that I used at the beginning, if you look at the first like 10 or 20 videos, I'm sure I put way too many videos about that. I love that thing. That probably is the one, that and Pleco are the two that I think have been the most useful. But honestly, every other one I played with for like 5 seconds, and then I didn't. And Phil, if you're listening, that's a very small amount of stickiness, right? Yes, language that is used. Anyway, I learned things from all over the place. So I'm really skeptical. I know a lot of people globally are learning Mandarin Chinese, and I know a lot of people are really writing apps or creating apps to, this glare is killing me. Hold on. I know a lot of people are, is he still here? Yeah, but we're just gonna deal with it. I film out in public. Why is this even a problem? I don't know. Okay, I used to film out in public. Okay, so for the people that are making language learning apps for Chinese, what you need to do is connect people, not teach them grammar or vocabulary. Because vocabulary is already done. There's a million of those, and generally, except for Pleco, none of them are super helpful. Now, see, this is why I hate doing advice videos, because every time something comes out of my mouth that I say isn't like that definitive thing, I think it might be for somebody. So let's make this real. In general, from my experience and the experience of people that I've talked to learning the language, in general, manually learning Mandarin Chinese, pencil, paper, pen, paper, brush, paper, those seem to be the ways that stick the longest. Oh, maybe that's why it's called stickiness in the app world. Okay, anyway, they stick the longest, the fastest, the deepest. The apps might be fun. They might motivate a little bit because they're very easy and we can do them while we're commuting or when we have free time, but they just don't seem to sustain. They just don't seem to, oh, did I show you my new nails? My first glittery nails ever. And that's when he notices I'm inside, is when I've got my fingers up to a phone. Awesomeness! Yes. Anyway, point being, that seems to be it. So the one piece of advice that people keep saying they would give others, and that the one I would like to give others, is go manual. It weighs more, it takes up more room in your home, it takes more supplies to do, you have to create it, not the app itself. But honestly, it feels like this is a language that needs to be hand done. Is this just Mandarin Chinese? I have no idea. When I was learning Spanish when I was trying to learn Spanish previously, it was all paper-based, but I didn't have, this is pre-teaching language, generally speaking, and I didn't have all of the language learning tips and tools that I have in my head now. So I can't compare learning Spanish in those contexts where I just literally followed what I was supposed to do in the classroom with the bag of like 15 years of teaching experience that I have now and what I'm bringing into my Mandarin learning. All I can say is right now, from people I'm talking to and my own experiences myself, this seems to be the case. This is a very hands-on, physical, non-technically learned language learning process. Now, does that change as you move up into higher levels and you can access other things online that have translations or have dictionaries built into them that can help you read them? I don't know. Stay tuned, right? Give me another year and hopefully I'll be able to answer that question. Or if you guys are at that level, feel free to answer that question down in the comment section. But like I said, this breaks my heart because although I can still probably make some of the apps for language learning, for writing fluency in English that I intended to, honestly, it's been a year and a half. Honestly, it's 2 years in January. It's September now. And I've got an intense podcast season until December, and I've got HSK3 test in December. So the chances of me building an app or starting to build an app from now until then are almost zero. In fact, I'm revisiting SQL, which is the database language, right? I used SQLite before in grad school. Thanks, Somya. Somya is actually going to be in a different podcast later on in this season. Anyway, the point being, is that I'm going to revisit SQL as a side thing. Yeah, because I have so much free time. But it's a programming language that I liked playing with, and I think it's something I could get remote work with if I got good enough. And my current day job is in person, and eventually, sooner than later, I'd like to replace it with a remote one so that my husband and I, when we switch countries, only have to worry about one visa. So I'm looking at ways for the podcast to make up for the loss of in-person employment, but that is a very long-term plan. For those of you in podcasting, you know how long it takes to be fruitful, and so I'm not going to bet on that. But SQL, programming languages, database management, that kind of thing is really fruitful. So if I can tolerate it, I can have that as a day job. So I'm actually really, really not going to get to making apps pretty much for forever now. So it's the death of things this week, which is really weird because the podcast I'm listening to, the new ones coming out this week, also seem to revolve around death, which is really strange. Like Food Chain, which is a really great podcast, was talking about... No, it wasn't Food Chain. Tangentially Speaking, I think is the name of it, was talking about the Stoics and their relationship to grief, which sounds a lot less painful than our relationship to grief in the West. And then the Food Chain also has one about grief, but I just started listening to it, and they're going to do like a little series on grief and food. And for some reason, I had the death of the Lightner box earlier this week, and this is the death of the mobile app idea, which I didn't realize until I just said it right now. Sorry. Yeah, that's really gone. It's really gone. I'm actually going to take that off of my long-term list too. I have so many app ideas. I'm just going to put this out there again. If there's anybody that knows how to make apps but doesn't have ideas, please contact me. I've got app ideas that range from lifestyle, food, language learning, both structural and motivational, and all kinds of things. I've got more ideas than I have time and skills. So yeah, I'll just put that out there. But as far as me making them, even with the cloud mobile app technology that just keeps growing, it's just not going to happen. I've got all these other things that are taking on life. I just got 2 amazing interview appointments this morning with people that are going to be on my podcast who I am huge fans of the things that they create in the world, and I don't want to say anything more than that. But as long as that keeps going, I'm going to keep going with that because it's moving. The app world is fruitful, but it also is incredibly intense. I've seen a peek into it, and I don't know if I have the stamina or free time to put into something that may or may not ever come to fruition. And the stuff I'm doing for the podcast are conversations I would have in my free time anyway. So other than the editing process, which is excruciating, it's the interview time, the prep time, those are emails and conversations I would have anyway, so they don't really count as extra. So yeah, so the death week, that's really spooky. I guess it's good that I'm wearing black today, right? Whoa, black! Because it's death week, the death of the Lightner box, the death of the mobile app idea for language learning purposes, even for the beginning Chinese purposes. There's a huge gap in that market, and I get why. It doesn't help that much. Again, Pleco and the writing app, that was great. Those were great. I'm still using Pleco. Pleco's awesome. I've had other ones referred to me. They haven't stuck for me. What about you? Are you learning Chinese? What do you think? Am I totally bullshitting? Is my experience that of somebody who's in their 40s and I just don't get what's happening with the younger language learners out there? I really want to know what you think. I hate blanket statements, but I'm making one. I'm really, really making one. I'm going out on a limb. I've had a feeling about this for a while, and I didn't want to say anything because it goes against so much in what I believe in with mobile apps, but I really, 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 really believe this is a hands-on language learning experience for Mandarin Chinese, and that's something you just can't get with mobile apps right now. Maybe when they get more tactile, but honestly, if you're going to make it a phone just like paper, why not just have the paper? I don't know. I love tech. Something's happening though. Damn it. Okay. Well, here's a shameless plug, because there's a lot of this also in the news. Like, there's this big trend in Japan and China where people, like this big, like paper planner trend with all kinds of supplies and stickers and different kinds of planners and different kinds of, what are they called? those things, it's all over Studygram on Instagram, those things that people make, they're not just planners, but the other things that I can't think of the name right now. Language erosion is real and I can't stand it. Anyway, there's a resurgence in paper stationery, and oh my god, am I in the right place at the right time, because I never gave up my love for stationery when I became a techno freak. So the two coexisting, because there's a lot of tech happening in China right now, like massive amounts of new technology, and to have those both in the same place at the same time is like, whoa, oh my god, how could that happen? But that's kind of a backtrack, right? So here's the shameless plug. My virtual expat podcast really, really takes the trajectory of someone the first time they left their home country and looks at how their online life and their expat life built off of each other, conflicted with each other. What effect did they have on each other? Their online life, their presence, the websites they went to, the social media, and what they did in their expat lives through the culture shock and more. I'm just saying, there's 2 new episodes out. If you're curious about that, and we do dive into a lot of social media stuff, what to do online, offline, what's changed. It's really interesting because a lot of people I'm interviewing have been overseas for like 10 or so years, and so they have a rather fun social media trajectory that I think will surprise you as far as how it relates to their overseas experience. It all comes together in the end, folks. Anyway, this was meant to be a 5-minute video, and I gotta get my ass out of here. I have to get away from my computer and go see art in real life. I'm going to an art museum today, thus the slightly more colorful look. I want to look non-frumpy. Hopefully that's come across. Anyway, all right. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry for all the death this week, but with death comes rebirth. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what the rebirth means for me and my language learning at some point. I really do look forward to your comments on this. I want to be wrong.